Hey guys, I want to do a video on Dogman, Hellhounds, Werewolves. Is there a connection? Who knows, right? That's why I want to do a video. I took down some notes so I don't forget to go over anything. Um, this is my paranormal channel where I'm going to be going over all kinds of things from metaphysics to ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, you name it. I do have a tarot channel too. I should have the link in the description, hopefully. Which of course that one is taking off swimmingly. Thankfully, I figured that it would. When it comes to paranormal stuff, it's like unless you already have a big following, it's like my videos are like hidden in the ether somewhere. Hopefully, eventually people will see it. But at least I will have a good bit of information by the time anyone really does find it. I've had a few subscribers, thankfully, not many yet. But this is so interesting to me because I've had personal experiences with this cryptid, okay? I've lived in places where there's legends about these types of cryptids. And there's been more of a connection to me to Hellhounds and Dogman than I think people realize. It's in the Dogman community, it has become a lot like the Bigfoot community. A lot of people see it as just a flesh and blood creature, and they completely dismiss any myths of werewolves or hellhounds or anything. Most people don't even think about hellhounds. They just think it's a werewolf or a dogman. And that werewolf legends are actually derived from a cryptid that is a dogman, and people are mistaken when it's really just a normal flesh and blood cryptid, right? Not some shapeshifter. Oh, so from what I have seen, experienced, and listening to so many other people, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. I don't think there's just one answer. Maybe there is some flesh and blood dogman out there, there's still arguments on Bigfoot. Some people want to believe so bad it's just a flesh and blood creature we haven't found yet. And then I have other people that say, well, there's no body, so there's no way it's real. They refuse to believe it unless they actually touch and see a body. And that sort of makes sense. As many sightings as there are of Bigfoot, how come there's all those memes running around about, I love a low-res camera. I live in Bigfoot country now, okay? I live in the Ouachita Mountains, and it's weird that everywhere I live, there's something. I lived in New Orleans with the vampires, and I lived in, ghosts there too, and a lot of ghosts in Galveston, and, I've had different things I've experienced. I saw that Mothman type cryptid thing I have in one of my, stories already on this channel, when I lived in West Texas, okay? Now, what I think is so fascinating about this is, okay, the one I saw, I feel like dissipated. And, a lot of people, when they think about Bigfoot being flesh or blood or not, but yet never having real good hard evidence, they're always looking and searching for it, What if it's not really as flesh and blood as they want to believe? I mean, it's just a thought. Am I saying I'm right? No. But I think some other people out there that are determined to have one set opinion, it's like a religion or a cult where you only believe one opinion and you refuse to have the many possibilities out there. I, for one, love to ponder on the countless possibilities, not rule anything out until I know for a fact that it's something, what was I thinking? I had heard someone talking about how Bigfoot, differed from us humans in that, they don't do fire. And if you really think about it, like, when you see where Bigfoot have been a lot, they bend a lot of trees and stuff. What if they literally did decide to have different, relationship with nature than us humans? And that's why they evolved very differently than us. They don't do fire. They are more likely to bend trees than to actually cut them down and destroy the forest. A lot of people I sort of feel like they're guardians of the forest. They take care of it. They respect it. And because of it, they're more likely to have grown out all that hair. And They live very differently, but maybe nature has given them a blessing back, and that they can be more psychically in tuned and have more supernatural abilities that we have lost. I mean, I'm sorry, but we're meant to be so much more psychically powerful than we are, but we've been dumbed down because we've opted for technology and we've opted for destroying nature to try to get a bunch of physical stuff that we think is so valuable, like coins and credit cards and whatever we think is valuable, which is really worthless in the grand scheme of things, you know? I mean, now we live in a society where we don't have much of a choice because of the elites that be, right? The oligarchy that makes us feel like we have to. You can't even go live in the woods free anymore. You have to pay taxes on land or something. You know, we literally are not allowed to live as animals in nature free. We're all like caught birds in a cage. Bigfoot has a gift. Since it has a gift, maybe it can walk in different dimensions, in and out of realms. Maybe that's why it's so elusive, you know? Now I wonder the same thing about Dogman. And I do wonder if there's a difference in between a hellhound and a werewolf, if werewolves actually could be real. And the reason why is because I was on a Vic kind of show a few years ago. I'm number 181, you know, and I had a bunch of comments in there. People of all dogmen are evil and you're stupid psychic evil and you're not talking to spirits, you're talking to demons, and like, you know, the religious elite to everything is the devil, and it gets so fucking old, right? I mean, it's like they're so fear-based, they don't see that they actually worship Satan. When you're fear-based about everything, that is a sick form of worship of evil. It is. Nowhere did I ever see Jesus scared of everything or call everything evil. As a matter of fact, he called the religious evil more than anything else. You know, he called the religious, like, what is it, perverse and whitewashed tombs and, you know, children of the devil and stuff. And that's pretty much how I see most religious people too, you know. And I'm not saying that I think all religious people are evil, but the ones that go out and project and are consistently trying to terrorize other people, there's like no good in them, you know. But anyway, I am gifted in this area. Yeah, I can tell the difference in between spirits and demons, and there are plenty of spirits out here, okay? I am not an idiot. I mean, I saw my first ghost when I was an itty bitty kid. And you know, it even tells you in the Bible, for those of you who study Christianity, that discernment of spirits is a gift of the Holy Spirit. If you don't have the gift of discernment of spirits, you got to keep your mouth shut. You know, you don't judge people who do, because you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, even, who was it, Saul had some, you know, medium, not like these modern mediums who just talk to people that have crossed over in their head. This was the kind of medium that was outlawed in the Bible, a very different specimen, okay? This was someone who legitimately used a conjuring spell to force a spirit to appear before them, okay? Very different, so don't be judging modern mediums based on certain biblical misinterpretations, okay? This conjurer conjured up the spirit, and the spirit even said, "Why did you wake me? I am tired," you know? And Saul even saw the spirit. You know, it mentions spirits in Job and stuff, so it's not even biblical to say they're all demons. But you have people who say they're Christian, but they don't read the book they claim to believe in, okay? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is very vital to the foundation and bones of what is going to be my channel, because I want us to dive deep. I want us to actually clarify all of the fog out there, the narcissistic fog, the fear, obligation, guilt, that modern religion and science and stuff has used to put blinders on us so we can't understand the paranormal and the supernatural the way we're intended to be the powerful human beings we're meant to be, okay? Now, when it comes to these spiritual, possibly flesh beings like Bigfoot and Dogman, okay, in one of Vic's shows, I used to listen to the Dogman a lot, you know, especially before I went on, because I was like, some of them were a lot scarier than my story. One of them really tripped me out. I can't remember what river it was, like Sabine River, Red River, some river, I think near Oklahoma and Texas, okay? I could be wrong, but these people had talked about like seeing this werewolf type entity, but it like started popping very loudly, almost like these hydraulic pressurized pops and growing in size, okay? There are some more ancient stories of what could be like a hellhound type of thing in the old world that mentions them getting bigger in size. You know, I think it might in England in places. And anyway, that, I mean, doesn't that kind of look like some of these like werewolf movies? You know, I mean, I don't care if it's like the silly movie American Werewolf in London, or if you look at like what's that movie? You know, the new Wolfman and everything, where they're like, it's not new now, but newer. You know, where they're like growing and they're almost popping. It's like very painful and stuff. Now, these people didn't say it was a human transitioning into a werewolf or anything, but it looked more like a smaller yet still abnormally large werewolf being, and it grew bigger, which is more like really, really old world stories from hundreds of years ago. And so that does sound like something very supernatural, doesn't it? It was a pretty scary story. And then there was another story of some woman that lived probably only an hour or two from where I live now, somewhere in Arkansas, and she was scared to death because she actually saw these things. She said it looked like these military helicopters had almost rounded them into the area, because before these sightings happened, it was like these helicopters were flying real low, and then all of a sudden the ranchers in the area were noticing their cows getting killed, their calves getting killed, and she had seen these beings look like very large wolves running around the property, but usually late at night where you can hardly see them, or late in the evening, you know, and then they would get up on two legs, and it terrified her, and she'd actually hear it crunching on animals at night, and it was just, that was another very scary episode. You know, if Vic's channel is called Dogman Encounters, okay? Anyway, and he's a great guy, you know, but I think he sticks with the whole, it's a normal just flesh and blood thing. No, I have no problem with that. It's his show. But I want to kind of, you know, dive into the possibilities of different things. Now, the one that I saw, the typical old hellhound stories are of just a black dog, often with red glowing eyes. Now, that strange creature that I saw with a friend at 3 a.m, and we didn't know if it was a Bigfoot or a Dogman, because it was just a very tall, hairy thing walking, you know, at 3 a.m, when our car light shone on it, or my car light, and then it looked like it had one big blue eye. The reflection from my lights, it didn't look red. It was just one blinking. It was so creepy, man. Like the other eye was completely like damaged, I guess. It wasn't opening. And then it was dragging that one leg. Oh my God. That was the scariest thing I've probably ever seen in my life. Because it was radiating this hate and anger, and it was, whoo-wee Lord. It was, had I not had someone else there see it with me, I don't know if I'd believe it, but she saw it before I did, and she started really screaming, like, Angel, do you see that? Do you see it? And she started crying, freaking crying, and I was like, oh my God, because, you know, I thought literally maybe another car had hit it, or maybe it got in a fight with another one, which means there's more of them out there, which is even freakier, right? Okay. And I had a sports car then. I had an old 96 Camaro. This was probably in like 2000. But, you know, those cars are so low to the ground. Like when you sit in them, you're like, your feet go like way in, and you feel like you're so tiny next to this huge thing. Oh my God. Oh, that, honest to God, I've seen so many things. I'm pretty sure that was the most scared I've ever been in my life. Now, when I saw what clearly looked like a legit werewolf, it wasn't black. It was beautiful. To me, it was like gray and silver. It was like speckly gray, silver, white colored. And it was when I was at Werewolf Lane Cemetery. Now, if you guys have ever heard of it, any of y'all that have ever lived in the East Texas area, the Tyler Longview area, there's kind of this legendary old cemetery, which happened to be right behind the neighborhood I lived in. Now, I've lived all over. I didn't live in this area long, thank God. It was probably, I'm going to get into that. God, I hope I don't make this too long, because I have one of those phones going to shut off eventually. Okay, let me see if I can get this focus. Like, this neighborhood was known for, like, animals disappearing and getting eaten, they assume by coyotes and stuff, you know. People would have bad luck if they disrespected the cemetery. They called it Werewolf Lane Cemetery. They swore they've seen werewolves there. You know, there used to be rumors like throw a bottle out and it would be thrown back at you. And it was one of those places, like one of those urban legend places where it was really, really off kilter, okay? And I have some pictures of it somewhere. I may try to find one day and put it on my Instagram so you guys can see. The old side of that cemetery legit had these iron ore stones in the shape of like a stick figure man. And each stone was probably, I don't know, 4 feet apart or so, not big enough to bury someone. And if for the shape, for it to be like almost like a 5-rayed star, like a man. And if you're walking into the cemetery, it'd be like an upside down star, an upside down person. Those tombs, I mean, those were stones were set like almost like a ritualistic area. You can't move them. They're like as deep in the ground as they are up. Okay. Oh God. Here's one thing. Even though I love doing my tarot channel, I love to read places. I love going to places, haunted places and things, cemeteries and stuff, because I can read a place. Where a lot of people find only the negative, I can find the holy and the sacred and a lot of places that seem bad. Not all of them. Now there's some really, really bad places for sure. But some places feel bad or negative simply because they've been disrespected a lot, you know. If a place was holy or sacred to Native Americans or any other culture and it becomes disrespected a lot, it can form an angry energy of vengeance. And if you go there with the right respect and the right love, you'll find a very, very different presence, as deep and as old and ancient. And when I went to that cemetery, I often felt so at peace. I loved it there. You know, it was my way of like having peace from the world. I go there and just read, you know. Well, anyway, that creature that I saw, this was probably in 2001, probably. Maybe in 2002. I think it's 2001. It, like I said, it was gray and everything, and it was running, but I heard the breath like right behind me. That's how I knew to turn around. And I look at it across this field, okay, that's behind the cemetery. And it was weird because it felt like the breath was almost right in my ear. Turn around and it's way across the field. Huge. I've never seen shoulders like, its shoulders were massive. Its muscles, like imagine shoulders like huge. But it was running kind of like this, you know? I mean, it was weird because I felt like it just wanted me to see it. You know, it was like trying to get me to look at it. And then I was like, okay, I turned back around and kept walking where I was going because I didn't want to act scared or anything. Because I have no idea if this thing is flesh and blood or if it's, I didn't feel like it was going to hurt me. But I also felt like I shouldn't react. You know, you don't want to look it directly in the eyes and be disrespectful either. I thought I'd just show it respect and not be weird. And then I looked back and it was completely gone. And I don't know if it disappeared or darted into the woods. I don't know. But anyway, here's the thing that I'm wondering, okay? What if there really is a correlation between hellhounds and voodoo and these sightings? Maybe not for every place, you know? I mean, hellhound stories have been going on all over Europe for thousands of years. But here's the reason why I wonder about that is because, like that cemetery in particular, you know, I've had people tell me they think was an old slave cemetery at one time. And that town, I mean, when I lived in the Tyler White House area, that is to me one of the most cursed places. It felt so heavy with division, hatred, like, I mean, it did, there was some slavery that went on there. And, anyway, there's an old Civil War, like, battle area. I mean, I can't explain to you how, like, oppressive the energy is at that place. Like, when we moved there from West Texas, like, I'm the black sheep of the family, okay, guys? You know, my parents are upper class. My mom's a microbiologist. My dad's a professional petroleum engineer. And, you know, my brother was always, like, preppy and wore the Tommy Hilfiger and the Ralph Lauren, all the stuff that you wore in the 90s to be cool, right? And, like, even when they would go to town, they would notice how, like, no one would smile at you. Everyone would scowl. It was the most uninviting, rudest place we've ever lived. Like, it was cold. It was cruel. You know, they carry this heavy, like, energy is so weird. I mean, I've lived all over here where I live now. Man, the Southern hospitality is legit. If strangers come into our town, they are treated with so much kindness that it's like life altering. Like people that are like from the Northeast and stuff don't know how to handle this much. Like everyone is sugar and honey and they're sweet and kind. But once you actually settle in the town, you realize how bad the backstabbing and the gossip and the cliques are, and every church fighting over who's best, blah, 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 right? But at least, it's not like heavy, angry everywhere. And it really, if you're in need, this is the type of town where like people are going to run to help you. Total strangers are always helping you around here. It's not like that in East Texas. Even though they had slavery there, they don't have that Southern hospitality or that heart and that love the way they do everywhere else in the South. I have family in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana. I lived in Louisiana, all over Southern Louisiana and Texas, and I've never lived in a place as hateful as East Texas. Not counting Southeast, like Galveston and Houston, I loved it there. Okay. Anyway, another thing was you look at, like Jean Lafitte. I did the ghost tours down there before, and I have all the rumors. Jean Lafitte apparently demanded like a voodoo queen to have these dogs protect Maison Rouge. Okay. And apparently they're black. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you about Tyler too. I had a friend when I lived there. She lived in like the White House area, and at the end of her road was old oak trees to a plantation. She swears her and her friend were run off of their four-wheeler by these big black dogs before. And she was scared of that place because like a kid died of crib death in the house they moved into. And then, okay, she swore there were like slave drums she could hear at night. And I was like, nah, because, my dad being an oil man, I bet it's some of those old oil rigs out there, how they go, they go like da-dun, da-dun, and they kind of make this steady sound. I stayed the night in her house one night. Oh my God. They were drums. It was deep drums. It was like, like there was actually the spirits of the slaves from that plantation were still alive and active. I've never heard anything like it. Like it gives me chills. It's crazy that they're still that active, But then if you go down to the whole Lafitte thing where he talked to the voodoo queen about this stuff, people swear they have heard growls at Maison Rouge. They swear there's these black dogs that guard it. I really wonder, guys, do any of y'all know? I really want to know if anyone has more experience with voodoo, hoodoo, any of the stuff here in the South, God, there's a Supernatural episode, where they have one of the old, like blues singers or something, and he sung about the hounds of hell, and they had kind of all that stuff in this one episode with the Goofer Dust and the Crossroads and the Hellhounds, and I was like, wow, it's like someone did their research and is kind of onto something, I really do wonder if some of these Dogman sightings aren't hellhounds, because me seeing it in a cemetery, someone might have actually assigned and conjured up a hellhound to guard that cemetery. That may be all it's there for. And since I never disrespected it and I loved it there, maybe it just wanted me to see it one day because he knew I was coming less and less and wanted to at least reveal itself to me. I had felt like I had been watched there many times, but I never felt like it was going to hurt me. I always felt protected by it, because I never meant the cemetery any harm. And what is so strange is like, what if some of these beings have been called upon to protect a place or a ground, a sacred ground, for centuries? I think I had maybe brought something up similar to that on Vic's show, and then there was comments about that saying, it just happened to be a cemetery. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I think there's a huge correlation between it, I know I need to wrap this video up. Is there anything else I was going to mention? Man, there's such cool stories about, like, in France, there's this ship that they mentioned in the Brittany area of, like, hellhounds and things. And if any you guys, wherever you may live, if you have stories of this stuff, I'd like to know. I really, really think I'm onto something, that there's got to be a connection with hellhounds and conjuring them up for protection or something. And there's still magicians like from Haiti and stuff, these voodoo priests that swear they'll conjure up a hellhound to protect you for the rest of your life, but they say it's evil and like they're using black magic to do it. Anyway, oh, and the Rougarou thing, you know, that was really the Loup Garou at one point. It was like French, the Cajun legend, you know, in southern Louisiana. Man, even when I was little, my dad would be like, you know, you better get in the house, the boogeyman's gonna get you late at night when I lived in Morgan City, you know, and you run inside and you just, like, it was very common to warn children in southern Louisiana of the kind of, you know, the boogeyman, the Rougarou, stuff like that. Okay, so I guess I probably got everything out that I needed to get out for this show because I wanted to keep it under 30 minutes. But I am like, I really want so bad for other people to get together and come up with some ideas and some theories of Dogman and Hellhounds and werewolves and how they might connect and what may be some differences. You know, there really could be werewolves and Dogman and Hellhounds. They could all be separate things. What if they're kind of sort of the same? Who knows, you know? It's just, to me, it's so fascinating. And I do think more of us need to be aware of it. It's ridiculous that this stuff is out there and so many people don't even know that they exist or refuse to believe that they exist. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one.